know it's been a while since I've made a game preview or a post-game show or anything like that, but that's because I've been on vacation. When I get back from vacation, I will continue making those. In the meantime, I wanted to take the time and talk about who I think are the biggest rivals for the Columbus Blue Jackets. In my opinion, you may not agree with them, and if you don't, write something in the comments below and explain why you disagree. So, I think the biggest rival for the Blue Jackets as of right now are the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yes, not the Penguins. Let me think. Actually, yeah, Washington. The Washington Capitals. Partially because I know the Blue Jackets have already beaten them twice this season, in Washington and in Columbus. But those games have both been very close games. Let me check what the score that those two games were. Give me 1 second. There we go, Google Chrome. Columbus. Blue Jackets versus Washington Capitals. Let's see. Yes. On November 15th, the final score in Columbus was 2-1 Blue Jackets. And then November 20th in Washington, 3-2. So, even though the Blue Jackets have won both games against Washington so far, I still consider them to be the biggest rival. The first reason is because they're both in the same division, the Metropolitan Division, in the Eastern Conference. But more importantly, the main reason why I think the Capitals are the biggest rival for the Blue Jackets is because of how close these games are. Even if the score was I know it was 2-1, the first two games were 2-1 and 3-2. However, let's say the third game, the score in the third game between the two teams is 5-2 in favor of Washington, for example. The only way I would say that's not a close game is if Washington has way more shots on goal. But if it's 5-2, if the Capitals win 5-2, but the amount shots on goal are about the same, that I would consider that a close game. Plus, it seems like when the Blue Jackets and Capitals play each other, the intensity in the building just goes from here to about here. And the two teams do it in different styles. Washington has a ton of all-star caliber players. The most obvious guy, of course, is Alexander Ovechkin. But you also have Oshie, who they trade with St. Louis to get. And you also have, Nicholas Backstrom. Brandon Holtby, their goalie. So, you have, whereas with the Blue Jackets, they do have all-stars. I would consider Brandon Saad an all-star, as well as Cam Atkinson, Sergei Bobrovsky, certainly. However, they're not. I would say Washington has superstars, and I'm not trying to in no way am I trying to downgrade like the stars that Columbus has. I'm not trying to do that. So don't take that the wrong way. However, I just think the stars Washington has are bigger, partially because they've been in the league a little bit longer and have established more. But I think if the Blue Jackets are able to keep the momentum going that they have, and possibly, and if they are able to get into the Stanley Cup playoffs, which I think they will, and make it deep, then I think some of their players could possibly reach that status. But I don't want to look too far into the future and just say, yep, I'm guaranteeing that the Blue Jackets will win the Stanley Cup or even reach the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm not going to make that jump yet because you don't know what could happen. Another big rival for the Blue Jackets is definitely Pittsburgh. Yes, the Blue Jackets already beat the Penguins 7-2 in Columbus. However, I'm not sure Sidney Crosby has reached his full potential for this particular season. Again, he's a superstar, just like Alex Ovechkin of the Capitals. And I think both players have not quite reached their full potential for the season yet. And in that first game, the Penguins had a couple injuries. Now, I'm not trying to make any excuses for the Penguins. The Blue Jackets beat them fair and square. But again, the Penguins were without Trevor Daley, and I believe that Chris Letang was injured. So, I'm very happy that the Blue Jackets won. In fact, I'm wearing my Lake Erie Monsters shirt. Although they're called the Cleveland Monsters, but they're still the affiliates of the Blue Jackets now. Go Monsters. Quick shout out to them. Anyway, Penguins, again, I don't remember the exact amount of shots on goal for both teams, but that is part. I think it was that was actually pretty close. Let's see here, and then another opponent, let's see. Oh, sorry, 7-1. But what was the amount of shots on goal for both teams? Let's see here. Blue Jackets win 11 straight games. Hopefully we get 13 tonight. Let's see. Shots on goal. That's what I want to know. Let's see here. It's the way I can... Okay, team stats. Let's see. Yeah, even though it was 7-1 in favor of Columbus, I still consider it a close game. Why? 28 shots on goal for Columbus, 26 for Pittsburgh. 15 hits for Columbus and 12 for Pittsburgh. So, this Metropolitan Division, I've heard it even on SportsCenter, and I think on NHL Network too. The Metropolitan Division is by far the toughest division in the NHL this season. And like I said, I know it was 7-1, but again, that score is a little bit deceiving. 28-26 for shots on goal. I'm very happy that Columbus won that, but that's a really close game in that perspective. But what really makes Pittsburgh a rival for the Blue Jackets is this. Both teams match up with each other really well. I think these two teams in particular match up with each other better than anybody. In my opinion, these two teams match up better with each other than any other teams in at least the division. Now, am I saying every other game is going to be a mismatch in favor of the Blue Jackets when they play a division opponent? Of course, no. I'm by no means am I saying that. And I'm also not saying that the opponent I'm not necessarily saying that the Blue Jackets' opponents are superior. I just think that in in the Metropolitan Division, the Penguins and Blue Jackets match up the best. And they kind of play the same sort of style. They both I think both teams want a somewhat physical game. Blue Jackets, slightly more. But both teams are fast. They try and get shots on goal. Not necessarily like 45. I mean, is it great? Do they want to try and get 45? Sure. If they are able, as long as they are able to get some of those shots into the net. Also, the various player matchups make the Penguins even more of a rival. Sidney Crosby against Cam Atkinson. I believe they both play center. I don't remember the exact positions for the various players. But like Trevor Daley and Seth Jones, Chris Letang and Scott Hartnell. Wait, I don't think they play the same division or positions. So my apologies if I'm a little rusty on player positions in hockey. I'm not great with that. I'm getting better. But there are various player matchups all over. Sergei Bobrovsky versus Matt Murray. Or when if they're both taking an off day, Marc-Andre Fleury versus Curtis McElhinney. Got it. That's why I think the Penguins are the biggest rival to the Blue Jackets. Not only because the Penguins won the Stanley Cup, but because I think both teams are still very young and have great AHL affiliates who are going to keep giving them young talent. That's the main reason why the young guys are what I think are fueling the Blue Jackets. Other rivals besides the Capitals and Blue Jackets, or Capitals and Penguins. Any Western Oh yeah, a Western Conference team who I think is a big rival for the Blue Jackets are the 2010, 2013, I believe, and 2015 Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks. Again, I know they're in two different conferences, so they only play each other twice, and I believe the Blue Jackets already beat them in Columbus. But again, these two teams match up really well, just like the Columbus and Pittsburgh. And similar to Washington, Chicago has a lot of players that I would consider superstars. Others may consider them just all-stars. But Patrick Kane, let's see, Jonathan Taves, Corey Crawford, let's see, Duncan Keith. Those are the main guys who I think of if you were to ask me, name some players on the Chicago Blackhawks. Those are the first players that come to my mind. And I believe Patrick Sharp still plays for them. I might be off. I thought, actually, he might be with the Dallas Stars. I might be wrong on that. I don't remember. But again, both teams match up really well with each other. I don't remember the score of the Blackhawks of the game in Columbus. But I think both teams want to play the same sort of style when the Blue Jackets and Penguins play against each other. They both want to hit you, and both want to play that fast, up-tempo style. And I think that's when two teams play similar styles of hockey, that's what makes them rivals. Or if you just don't like the other team, like Boston and Philly, or Boston and Montreal, or what's another good big rivalry in the NHL currently? Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. So I think the Blue Jackets, three rivals for the Blue Jackets are the Penguins, Capitals, and Blackhawks. However, the rival I'm most concerned about for the Blue Jackets is tonight's opponent. Granted, I believe the game in Columbus has already started. But for me, since the Blue Jackets have lost to this team 2 times already this season, I consider them the Blue Jackets' biggest rival. It's the team that has a B, and it has a bunch of, this team's logo is yellow and black, and it has a B in the middle with a bunch of spokes going around it, so it looks like a B inside of a wheel. I'm talking about the Boston Bruins. I do not like the Boston Bruins. And the player I dislike the least is Zdeno Chara. Man, that guy can hit pucks hard. I believe he won the hardest puck challenge last season at the All-Star game. They might have gotten rid of that. I don't remember. But I just don't like the Boston Bruins. When they were playing the Blackhawks in the 2013 Stanley Cup Final, I was happy when the Blackhawks won. I was not happy when the Bruins beat the Canucks in Game 7 to win the 2011 Stanley Cup. That's the one team, out of all the teams I've mentioned, the Bruins are the team I like the least. Let's see, I want to check what the scores have been of the first 2 games this season between the Bruins and Blue Jackets. I think the Blue Jackets have gotten destroyed by the Bruins in the first two games. Oh, the game has already started. Again, that's because I'm on Mountain Time, not... Yeah, on opening night in Columbus, they beat us. The Blue Jackets lost badly to Boston, 6-3. And then in Boston, the Bruins beat us again, 5-2. So tonight is the last game of the season series. I do not want to get swept by the Bruins. I'll be even more upset if somehow the Blue Jackets and Bruins play each other in the Stanley Cup playoffs. If that's the case, I will not allow anyone. I will not wear black or yellow during that week, during that playoff series at all. That's how much I do not like Bruins. Now, I don't like the Capitals very much, and I don't like the Penguins or the Blackhawks. But I respect those teams. If those teams were playing, like if Washington was playing like Vancouver, for example, I'm not going to root against the Capitals or if the Capitals win, I wouldn't be very upset. Now, if the Blue Jackets were playing them, of course I don't want the Capitals to win. Same thing with the Penguins and Blackhawks. But I wish the Bruins would lose every game this season. Of course, that's not going to happen, unfortunately. But there's just something about the Boston Bruins that I do not like. And the main guy I don't like, as I've already said, is Zdeno Chara. I think he still plays for the Bruins. Let me check on that. I think it's EX Zdeno. I might be off on that. Chara. Does he still play? I think so. Let's see. Yeah, he still plays for the Bruins. I just... Let's see. He's almost 7 foot. 6... Ugh. I just don't like the Bruins. You know what? I'm done talking about the Bruins. That's how much I don't like them. They're the team. Thankfully, we only play them 3 times this season. I don't want to play them in the playoffs. I would not be happy if the Blue Jackets play them in the playoffs. Who else do I consider to be a rival of the Blue Jackets? Tampa, somewhat. Let me think. Detroit, I think, is a big rival. Just because it seems like two teams have a history of a rivalry, even though I don't know if a lot of NHL fans still consider the Blue Jackets and Red Wings to be a great rivalry. But I don't really like the Red Wings. But I respect the heck out of some of their players, like Pavel Datsyuk, I don't know if he's with the Red Wings anymore, but Zetterberg, let's see. Zetterberg is the main guy I think of. Who was my favorite player? I know this isn't part of it, but I just want to think. Who was my favorite hockey player growing up? Unfortunately, I didn't get to see Wayne Gretzky, but... So, I'm actually going to say Mike Modano. And I think especially in the prime of his career with the Dallas Stars, I think he was one of the best players in the NHL in the past. And I believe I saw his plaque when I went to the Hockey Hall of Fame. I don't consider the Maple Leafs a rival because they haven't been great in the past couple of seasons. New York, both New York teams, the Rangers and Islanders, I also consider rivals. Especially more the Rangers than the Islanders. Even though, like I said, the Blue Jackets have already beaten them in Columbus, but I just don't like the Rangers, especially since we traded Rick Nash to the Rangers. But it seems like that trade, in the end, has worked out for both teams. But I just don't Henrik Lundqvist, I think, is a fantastic goalie, but do I want him to do well against other teams? Yes, I do. Against the Blue Jackets, I don't want him to be on his game. Well, that's true with any team. I don't want their goalie to have a good game. Like, I hope Tuukka Rask struggles against the Blue Jackets tonight, especially in Columbus. And just to touch something really quick, I'm so excited that the Blue Jackets are on this winning streak, but if there's any team that can end this winning streak, it's tonight's opponent and the team that I dislike more than any other as a Blue Jackets fan, Boston. So I really hope the Blue Jackets can beat them tonight. I really hope so. And if they do beat them by a big margin. Because I don't like the margins that they've beaten us by. That the Blue Jackets have lost the scores of the first two games. Not only because the Bruins won, but just how badly they beat us, like 5-2 and 6-3. Ugh, no. Other Western Conference teams who I consider to be rivals of the Blue Jackets. Although I do consider the Flyers a rival. I don't consider every metropolitan team a rival. The main rivals in the Blue Jackets division are Pittsburgh, Washington, the Rangers, Islanders, and the Flyers. If I think of any more rivals, I will let you know. But for the Western Conference, who would I consider to be a rival in the Western Conference? Let me think. That's a good question, actually. Chicago. St. Louis, I would consider the Blues to be a rival just because their level of physicality is very tough to handle. They like to check you. And it's a very difficult game when you play against them. I'm still surprised the Blue Jackets blew them out in Columbus after losing to them 2-1 in St. Louis. I think that was the score. Nashville, not quite yet. I want the Predators to be a better team, although they did make it to the playoffs. So, I'm not sure about the Predators. I'm leaning towards rival, but again, I'm not quite sure. What? San Jose, Los Angeles, I consider to be a rival because, I did not like having to go through a shootout against them. But congrats to Budaj on being a fantastic backup goalie. I'm sorry, but he is a backup goalie to Jonathan Quick. But since Quick went down, Peter Budaj has done really well for the Kings, so I give him credit. But the player I dislike the least on the Kings is a former Bruin. Of course, it comes back to the Boston Bruins. Milan Lucic. First off, what were the Bruins thinking trading him? Yes, I know they got draft picks, but to me, from what I've seen of hockey, and I'm taking this from one of the NHL analysts on NBC or NBCSN, I don't remember, so I'm just reiterating it. But to me, Milan Lucic was the definition of what it meant to be a Boston Bruin. So it was kind of strange when I heard that he's now a Los Angeles King. But I also don't like Kopitar or Dustin Brown. I do respect them. And I respect the players on the Kings. Who else would I consider to be a rival from the Western Conference? St. Louis, Chicago, Los Angeles, Dallas. Not yet. Not quite. Colorado, no. The Avalanche are just bad. I can't think of any more rivals right now. If you guys disagree with any of the teams that I said are rivals of the Blue Jackets, let me know. I don't mind if you disagree. I'm completely okay with that. And if you think I missed a team who you would consider to be if you think your team has a rivalry with the Blue Jackets, let me know. And I didn't mention them. Let me know. I would be happy to talk with you guys and see why you think your team is, why you think the Blue Jackets are a rival for your team. Or if I mentioned your team but you don't think the Blue Jackets are a rival, let me know. And I'd be happy. Tell me why. I love hearing what you guys, what your thoughts on what your thoughts are on this. So, hopefully we beat the Bruins. Hopefully the Blue Jackets beat the Boston Bruins tonight. I really hope so, because that's, to me, the Bruins are the biggest rival. So, go Blue Jackets, beat the Bruins, and hopefully when the Blue Jackets travel to Minnesota to play the Wild, both teams are still on their winning streaks. That should be an excellent game. Hopefully I'll be able to watch it. Until next time, this is Wine and Gold Unger, signing off.